$2,000 a month, which slowly let him get by. But things really changed when he started to post his own content on his own personal account. He would start posting these silly jokes, skits, and other funny videos.
It's a boy. Let me just cut off the umbilical cord. Sir, you just cut off his penis. It's a girl. Challenge time.
Yo, Lance, you think I get this egg into that jar without it cracking?
No.
Guess you're right.
So Sam has this problem. When he's done having sex with someone, he can't stop saying their name in a deep voice. What do you mean? Sorry, I was at my dad's.
These started to go viral really fast, and only within 1 year, David developed an entire fan base. This gave him the opportunity to collaborate with other fellow Viners like Zayn and Heath, The Gabby Show, and Liza Koshy, and a bunch of others. He would even start collaborating with celebrities like Josh Peck and John Stamos. David started to develop a name for himself pretty quickly and went from a couple thousand to 1 million followers on the platform. Now, he wasn't exactly the biggest Vine star, but he was pretty up there and made some solid connections through this platform. But there was
She could be facing, a lifetime in prison. The reality of it really probably is if she's convicted, she's going to get very, very significant time. I mean, I could see a judge sentencing her to 20 plus years in prison for these crimes. This lady is absolutely a predator, no doubt about it. She's going to go to prison for a long time.
Look, she's innocent until proven guilty, right? She hasn't been convicted, but assuming all of this is true, and she gets convicted across the board of all of this, and we will go through these allegations, any kind of mitigating factors that would help her during sentencing? Is it mental health issues, her upbringing, what was going on in her life, anything like that that could factor in to a case like this?
In front of me, I had some messages before every race on my answer machine, and you're going to kill you, you're going to things, and I was really afraid, at one stage. It was really, it went over the top for nothing, for nothing, for no reason. It was really, really tough.
And you had the same exactly again in 89, where where the majority was on Senna's side, even though again, but is it possible to enjoy the sport still then in these moments, or is it just zero enjoyment?
You enjoy less, and that is the most difficult. You always are in balance in your head and in your heart. Say, okay, I love my sport, I love my business. It's very important to have your team close to you, even some mechanics, how it is, you need to have a few people, but very often you say, okay, why you do that?
Insult the person for loving a black person, which some might argue is even worse.
Here's the thing, she didn't just say the N-word. It's not like she was mouthing it and said the words in a song. There are levels to it. There's the white influencer dancing and then mouthing the words with an A at the end. There's calling someone the N-word. There's calling someone the N-word with a hard R at the end. And then there's calling someone a lover. A slur is a slur, but to insult someone for being in a relationship with a black person by calling them a lover, it does not get any worse than that.
I felt responsible, to make sure she got home, because they're already telling us, like, don't take the Ubers, don't trust these people, don't jump in a cab, don't do any of that. You know what I mean? We're in Mexico City and we're in a foreign land and we should stick together. So I was like, okay, this isn't where I leave her, So I made sure she got home, and the next day it kind of all slapped me in my face. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not sure if her and her significant other had a situation, because I did FaceTime her boyfriend to figure out like how to get there and how to go about getting her home.
So you FaceTime her boyfriend because you wasn't doing anything with her, but you was like, bro, I need to get home. Where am I going?
Exactly. I actually had a girlfriend at the time too as well. So, I felt like I was doing the right thing. But the next day, they canceled rehearsal and everything, and they came to me and they were like, Jason, we need to talk to you about this activity.
Talk to me what your thoughts are on this.
I've represented children my entire career in these types of cases, and it's not unusual at all that this victim would not go tell someone right away. He's a boy. He doesn't know what to do. He's 12 years old. This is a shocking, unbelievable incident to him, and kids don't know how to react to that. I think she also down the road kind of threatened him and said, hey, you can't tell anyone about this. That's always very effective on the victim. And so it's not unusual at all that he didn't tell, or at least didn't tell for a while, truly. And so the other thing is these other boys saw it, Again, it's not unusual for other boys who saw it not to tell. I mean, they're probably talking amongst themselves, but for them to go to an adult and say what happened, they probably think no adult's going to believe this.
Yeah, but you know what?
His patent to most major American automakers, collecting a fee on each car they produced, until Ford got the patent overturned. In this era of exploration and experimentation, men in every country were claiming they had made the fastest or the most reliable car. Where there are egos, there will be competition, and it wasn't long until motor racing started to grow. The earliest recorded motor race occurred in the northwest of England at 4:30 a.m. on August 30th, 1867, between Ashton-under-Lyne and Old Trafford, Manchester, a distance of 8 miles. It was won by the car of Isaac Watt Bolton, beating a vehicle believed to be owned by a Mr. Schmidt. The details of who was involved are a little hazy, as the race broke the red flag laws mentioned earlier. On July 16, 1878, the first US motor race with a prize purse was run over a 200-mile course from Green Bay to Appleton, Oshkosh, Warpen, Watertown.
This has always blown my mind a little bit. 53% of you that listen to the show regularly haven't yet subscribed to the show. So could I ask you for a favor before we start? If you like the show and you like what we do here and you want to support us, the free, simple way that you can do just that is by hitting the subscribe button. And my commitment to you is if you do that, then I'll do everything in my power, me and my team, to make sure that this show is better for you every single week. We'll listen to your feedback, we'll find the guests that you want me to speak to, and we'll continue to do what we do. Thank you so much. Jimmy, we've really just only met, and you are already, to me, a bit of a Rubik's Cube.
Okay.
In so many ways. And I've been trying to piece the pieces together to understand the uniqueness of you, because you're so unbelievably unique. We just drove over here in the car, and hearing you speak about the way that you view life and speaking to you yesterday on the phone, I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people, and I've never, ever met someone who has the perspective on
I've represented children my entire career in these types of cases, and it's not unusual at all that this victim would not go tell someone right away. You know, he's a boy. He doesn't know what to do. He's 12 years old. This is a shocking, unbelievable incident to him, and kids don't know how to react to that. I think she also down the road kind of threatened him and said, hey, you can't tell anyone about this. That's always very effective on the victim. And so it's not unusual at all that he didn't tell, or at least didn't tell for a while, truly. And so the other thing is these other boys saw it. Again, it's not unusual for other boys who saw it not to tell. I mean, they're probably talking amongst themselves, but for them to go to an adult and say what happened, they probably think no adult's going to believe this.
Yeah, but you know what?
The European Drivers' Championship, which held its first season in 1931. The governing body that supervised some of the most popular racing events began to impose strict regulations on competitive events like size of the car, engine power, and even the weight of the cars to ensure safe race conditions. But this was also a way to mitigate any unfair advantages that were being leveraged by those who could innovate significantly faster than the field. For instance, that first European Drivers' Championship imposed many regulations, like a minimum car weight of 900 kilograms. These early regulations were in line with what was called Formula Libre regulations, and it's widely considered the oldest sanctioned formula recognized in motorsports. And that's where the name Formula comes from. Therein lies the root of the name of the entire series. But just as things were picking up, global motorsports was interrupted by an armed conflict. A second world war later, and Europe was ready to race again. But to distinguish the top-level formula cars from the rest of the racing events, Formula One regulations were formed in 1946 by the official governing body, the FIA, and the races beginning that same year.